Alright, so we're good. Are we live? I think we are. Hello all and welcome back to the Women's Football Chat Live. It feels weird in the studio today, feeling very empty without a co-host alongside me. But nevertheless, we continue. Today, it's Manchester City versus Aston Villa, the first game of this epic WSL Sunday. We've got a lot of football across today to look out for. Of course, join us later this evening for Chelsea versus Tottenham. But this is the big one to start the day. It's two sides who have both shown a lot of promise to start the season. Manchester City, of course, one of the favourites to go and compete for the title this season, and understandably so, given the quality they possess. Aston Villa, probably the surprise package of the season so far, bar Brighton, actually. Forgot about Brighton for a moment. But yeah, very good side, Aston Villa. They haven't had the results. They've played really well in all the games they've played. Yeah, it's just not coming off for them. Today will be a very difficult challenge for Villa. It'll be interesting to see how City deal with the challenge posed by Aston Villa, because we saw Chelsea in Matchweek 1 really struggle to break down Villa, really struggle to deal with Villa coming forwards, them opening the space on that left-hand side for Paulo Thomas. Obviously, they're without Paulo Thomas today, but I think it's going to be very interesting to see how City handle that. We saw City last time out really struggle away at Liverpool at Anfield, and it's going to be really interesting to see how they get on, so how they bounce back from that. Obviously, they managed to win that in the end, and I think they'll take huge belief and confidence from that win, but they didn't have it all their own way. And I think that's the first time this season, bar probably the Arsenal game, that City haven't been the better side for large parts of the match. So, yeah, I think it's going to be really interesting to see what City look like today and how they challenge Aston Villa. Emily, welcome to the stream, and Justin as well. Emily's saying, I think it'll be City 3, Aston Villa 1. How is everyone? I'm great, Emily. I'm loving being back streaming. It is weird being in the studio by myself today. I've not had a solo stream since the Euros, so it has been a while, but I'm excited nonetheless. Justin's saying, with the United draw, I need a City draw at least. Yeah, I mean, we can briefly talk about that result from yesterday. Manchester United drawing with Brighton. I can't say I'm hugely surprised. I've been, for the last few weeks, I've been predicting that something would go wrong for Manchester United because, saying that their performance probably that isn't as good as their results suggest. And Harry in particular was saying that I was going to be wrong. I think I'm right. Shock. But yeah, I thought that yesterday United showed why they're not quite in the conversation with Chelsea and City just yet. I do think that third spot could be theirs or Brighton's if Arsenal continue to underperform. But that'll be the other interesting thing today. Obviously, Arsenal in action against West Ham. They don't have a manager. It's Rene Slager's in there as an interim. And while they beat the Vålerenga in the week, it's going to be interesting to see how they can adapt to this game. Can they beat West Ham? There's lots of storylines going on today, lots of big matches. Obviously, we're live for this early kickoff. I think we'll have a couple games overlapping at the end, and then obviously we'll be able to talk about them all later today. Just one saying, hi Jack, it's the Jack Show today, lol. Very much so. Very much so. Advert C is saying Chelsea women same time as Chelsea Liverpool SMH. Is it? Chelsea women are the late kickoff tonight. So Chelsea Liverpool kick off at 4:30 UK time. That will finish about 6:30 when we are set to go live for Chelsea Tottenham. So we're going to have, it's a day full of football really, and obviously watching the other WSL games as well. Absolutely love these days filled with action. But yeah, we should probably look at some lineups then, because I've only got 10 minutes till kick-off. Without Harry here to keep me in pace, I do just ramble, so do be mindful of that. But let's have a look then at the lineups. Of course, we're at the Joey Stadium in Manchester today. Manchester City the hosts, and they line up as follows. It's a 4-3-3 for Gareth Taylor's side. In goal, Yamashita returns. She started every WSL game so far this season. Obviously, Keating played the Champions League game in midweek. It's back four of Kasperai, Alexandri, Greenwood and Uahabi. Again, a lot of resting. We saw in midweek they got through that game against Poulton. Be interesting to see, how much of an impact a week's rest will have. It's midfield three then of Park, Hasegawa and Rord, probably their strongest midfield three right now, and a front line of Fowler, Shaw and Hemp. Again, full strength for Manchester City today. They look very good, I have to say. Yeah, I mean, again, I still have some doubts about Yamashita. I thought she was massively at fault for Olivia Smith's goal in the game last weekend. I thought that she really should have done better with that shot. So I still have some doubts there. Other than that, though, this City side looked really strong. I think with Jill Roord back in the side, the midfield felt a bit more balanced when she was playing. I think that front line at the moment, so deadly, so potent. So, yeah, it's going to be a really interesting one to see how Villa handled that. Let's have a look at the Villa side then, the visitors for today's game. Unfortunately, FootMob has put this in a truly bizarre formation, so we're going to have to try and figure this out. But I believe it will be the usual 4-2-3-1 or a 4-4-2 today for Aston Villa. In goal, it's Sabrine D'Angelo, the Canadian. Then a back four of Marit, Patton, Parker and Daniel Turner. It's a pivot of Nobbs and Kearns. On one side, Katie Robinson. On the other, Kirsty Hansen. And then Daly and Silva up front. So it's either going to be a 4-4-2 with Hansen on that left-hand side and Gabriela Nunes da Silva playing as that attacking midfielder or second striker. Or we could see Silva out wide. We could see Robinson inside. There's so many different options for this team. So it's difficult to piece together what Villa are going to do. I think it will look more like the 4-2-3-1 or a 4-4-2, akin to what they've been playing this season. FootMob says they're going to play a 3-4-3. I don't see it happening, but I guess we'll see. I guess we will see. We could see it as a 3-4-3 if it's like Hansen on one side, Gabriela Nunes the other, and then Daly up front. Forgot her name for a moment there. And then Robinson, Turner, wingbacks or something like that. But I think with the players out there, this will probably be a fullback, would be my prediction. So yeah, I don't think FootMob has got that one right, but I hope we've pieced that together correctly. Obviously, we'll work it out as the game goes on. Justin Williams asks, is Keating injured? No, I mean, Keating's a bit of an odd one. They've just decided to bench her, which I really don't understand. I think that Keating is a better shot stopper than Yamashita, quite considerably better in that regard. So yeah, I don't really understand it. Just man saying, keep hitting that like button, people, and sub to the channel. Completely agree. We condone that message. Harry says, thinks there will be another case of Villa play well but don't get the result. Well, it'll be interesting. I think we saw how they played against Chelsea and they set up really well. I think, though, a lot of that was because of Lucy Bronze and the fact they were able to exploit that space by playing Kenza Dali out there, getting her to drift inside and then creating that space for Paula Thomas to exploit. I think we saw, they were able to spread Chelsea really well. So I think in that regard, we won't see them be as potent in those attacking areas. So I think City will probably pose more of a threat to Villa than Chelsea did, just because I don't think Kasparai will be caught out in the same way that Lucy Bronze was. But maybe she will be. Will be interesting to see. We expect them, City, to play the same sort of style they have been, with building up in that back three, pushing the right wing back the right back or the left back forwards. And then on the other side, they create the width by just bringing that winger wide. Usually Lauren Hemp out wide and Kasparai. And then you end up with Fowler being able to drift inside, occupying that half space. And then you end up with a very fluid, very potent attack. Hasegawa playing as that single pivot in there. So yeah, interesting to see. Emily saying we'd love to see Keating at Liverpool. That would be one hell of a signing. And I think it's a sort of signing that Liverpool need to make if they want to compete at this level, if they want to make that step up. I think this season's been a really positive one for Liverpool. I do think they've got some really quality players, and I think Herbinger and Nagano are both top WSL quality. I also think that Olivia Smith, the new signing, has been absolutely phenomenal. Looks a top player. So yeah, Liverpool set up really well at the moment for a good run at the top four. They haven't got the results so far. And they drew with West Ham. That really should have been a win. They drew with Leicester, I think, as well. That should have been a win. And then they could have taken something from City. And obviously they did scrape something against Tottenham. But the results just haven't been there yet for Liverpool this season. They haven't got those results over the line. So yeah, bit of a weird season so far. For Aston Villa, it seems to be a very similar season to what Liverpool have had, in that they've been quite good in all of the games they've played, but just nothing has come off. Like, they've been really solid, and yet they can't seem to get anything. Like, last weekend was the 4-2 loss to Brighton, I believe, if I've got my weekends right. And that was a bit of a weird one, because it's very difficult to establish what actually happened in that game. There was the red card, there was the drama. It was a bit of an odd one. I think that who else have Villa played? They played Chelsea, obviously, tough game. They played Tottenham. They really should have won that. They drew 2-2. Tottenham had 4 shots, I think, and they ended up scoring twice. And then Villa had a really tough schedule to start this season. Who'd they play as well? Leicester, drew 0-0. Yeah, so that was last week, sorry. Week before was the weird Brighton game. But yeah, it's just been a bit of a weird period for Aston Villa. So much promise, yet none of it has materialised in points yet, really. They're on 2 points. They look at the moment to be in the relegation fight. I do think they'll climb out of that, and I think they'll be more competing with the likes of Tottenham for that 7th spot eventually. But yeah, the moment has just been a really slow start to the season. For Man City, very fast start to the season, bar that the Arsenal draw being a bit of a blemish on an otherwise perfect record. Yeah, they've been really good. I mean, Champions League, they've won 2 from 2 in the league. They're still unbeaten, despite the fact Liverpool last weekend were really strong. And I think they probably could have taken something against Man City. You know, I think City look really strong. And they are real candidates to fight with Chelsea for the title this season. So it'll be interesting to see. Chelsea fan says, I really hope we can shut Liverpool fans up today. On the men's side, yeah, hopefully so. Hopefully so. Leo says, I was surprised Liverpool had only one keeper last week. Yeah, that was amusing, wasn't it? When Rachel Laws went down injured and Tanya Daniels started warming up. We spoke about that at the time, but it's because their backup goalkeeper's injured at the moment and their third choice is at the Under-17 World Cup. And I think it's in the Dominican Republic, I want to say. So they've basically just got one goalkeeper currently. So if Rachel Laws gets injured for Liverpool, they don't have a goalkeeper at the club. I think the next oldest goalkeeper they have signed on is 15. And, well, for obvious reasons, they're not just going to throw her into the action. So, yeah, they're in a bit of a weird situation. But anyway, that is a topic for another day, because now we are a few minutes out from kick-off here at the Joey Stadium. Manchester City versus Aston Villa, match week 5 of the WSL season. Will be a very interesting game, this one. But, yeah. And obviously City will be looking to go back to top after the draw between Manchester United and Brighton yesterday. City have been usurped. They are currently third in the table. If they are to lose today, they could end up as low as fourth. Obviously that would rely on Chelsea beating Tottenham later. So the stakes are high for City. They need to keep winning. They need to keep pressure on the top teams. At the moment they are the pace setters in the league, but with Manchester United and Chelsea both having games in hand, it does make it a bit of a difficult situation for Manchester City. Obviously that draw to Arsenal on the opening day not helping them. I think now, at the time, that felt like a really strong point, but looking at how Arsenal played against Chelsea, the results that they've got against other teams, I think now City would look back at that game against Arsenal with a bit of frustration, because if they'd won that, suddenly they're in a position where they've taken 12 points from a possible 12 coming into this game week, where you would expect them to win today. And then the pressure's on Chelsea, having not played against Manchester United yet. Because obviously then they have that game in hand. And City would be genuinely in front going into that game in November, most likely. Obviously, there is still time between now and then for City to drop points, or Chelsea to drop points. But at the moment, they would go in fairly level and Chelsea have that game in hand. So I think they will look back at that Arsenal game and be slightly frustrated that they didn't win that day. Equally, they didn't play well. So you can look at it both ways and say, well, actually, they're quite fortunate to win. I think they'll take the fact. I was quite fortunate to draw, sorry. So, yeah. Anyway, we're about to go underway. Let's have a look. Let's do some predictions. Then, if you are watching along, get involved in the live chat with your predictions. We'll start in the studio. I've got no Harry to turn to today, so I'm going to have to start the predictions. I think City will be fairly comfortable. Eventually, I think Villa will give them a game in the first half, but as we've seen with a lot of sides this season, as the second half comes and City start to make subs, the other team run out of steam, and then we see, Man City really turn on the style. We saw it against Liverpool last weekend, where they really put that backline under pressure. And obviously, Liverpool's an extenuating circumstance because they have no substitutes at the moment, Liverpool. But yeah, I think it will be a strong game for Manchester City. I'm going to say I quite like the 3-1 prediction earlier, but I don't want to copy it, so I'm going to go 3-0 today. I think City will keep another clean sheet. I will say a goal from Khadija Shaw, because she is very good, turns out. Another brace last weekend for Khadija Shaw leads the way at the moment for the Golden Boot race. I think it will then be... I'll say Jill Roord. I think she, again, looked really solid since come back from injury. And I'm going to say Chloe Kelly from the bench, because I want that statement. I want to see Chloe Kelly score, then run over to Gareth Taylor. That would be amusing. But just one saying 4-1 Man City for me. Yeah, fair enough. I do think City will be comfortable eventually today. I feel for Aston Villa because they've had the most difficult start to a season I think you could possibly have. You played Chelsea already, you played City, and obviously they've not played Arsenal yet, but Tottenham isn't an easy game. I think they've had quite a tough run to start this campaign. Right, sorry, just working out the graphics. It's been a while since I've had to do this. Usually I've got someone to do it for me. John says, hoping Villa will be up for this one. Optimistic and exciting 2-2 draw. Love it, John. We will see what happens. And Ryan Cheam, welcome to the stream as well with a classic high full stop. Good to see you, Ryan. So yeah, we are about to get underway today. Is Gareth, I can't work out if he's sat on the bench or stood in the stands. Or sat in the stands. I think he's in the stands. which he does tend to start in the stands and then eventually make his way slow down the seats until he stood on the touchline, which is a bit of an oddity, but we do like little things like that in football. And it will be Aston Villa to get us started here at the Joey Stadium. Rachel Daly from the middle once referee Dowie blows her whistle. Before kick-off, though, we do take a knee in a stand against all form of discrimination. And it will be Daly to get us started. And the ball's not back, and we're underway. It's time for match week 5 of the WSL season. Manchester City versus Aston Villa. And City needs the win today if they want to keep the pressure on Chelsea. They want to remain top of the league going into match week 6. But it's Villa starting with this early period of possession. Hansen getting the ball down. Now Turner looks for Rachel Daly, who'll flick it on. And they're competing for it well here. Aston Villa, Gabriela Nunes. That's flicked on. Let's go full for Alexandri, though, who can knock it back to Yamashita, and City can settle into their possession. And immediately we see City go into that possession shape where they've got this back three, where Yui Hasegawa's a single pivot. The one thing I think that Jill Roord really adds is someone that can drop a little deeper and get involved. I think with having Vivian Miedemar in that role, because she is naturally a striker or a more attacking player, I don't think you do end up with Hasegawa quite isolated. But I do think with Roord in there, you do have a bit more balance to that midfield, which is what I was initially quite fearful of for Manchester City this season, is that they would just get caught out in midfield. And we saw that against Arsenal, actually. Their midfield got ran through quite a few times. Here's Hasegawa. Knocks the ball wide. Kasparai, now Fowler, back to Kasparai. Nice link up, Kasparai. Will be forced back. Nice turn, though, and goes down the line into Mary Fowler. Fowler in behind. Chance for Khadija Shaw, but D'Angelo off her line quickly and gathers the ball. And immediately there, we're seeing where City will look to hurt Aston Villa. We saw this against Barcelona, actually, those balls in behind. Fowler's really good at those diagonal balls, just getting it in that gap between the centre-half and the full-back, where there is a bit of space, and then in behind so Khadija Shaw can run onto it. It's what she's been very good at in recent weeks. As I say, we saw that against Barcelona. We saw it against Liverpool, actually, that winning goal, of course, coming in a similar manner. Here's Kasparai. Alexandri. Kasparai. Back to Alexandri. I think one of the unspoken heroes of the Man City side this season, Leia Alexandri. Flawless in the win against Barcelona. Flawless in every performance, really. I don't think she was great against Liverpool last weekend, admittedly, but other than that, very good season. Justin Williams saying, loving this Chloe versus Taylor storyline. To me, she's a start. I'm always shocked she's not starting. That's interesting. To me, I completely agree with Gareth Taylor's decision to bench her. And I think that's what I love about football. You can have disagreements on stuff like that. I don't think Chloe Kelly offers you enough in attacking areas. I think watching Mary Fowler, she's more clinical, she's more creative. I don't know. I think she's a better player. I do think that prioritising Fagino's minutes over Kelly is a little bit weird, because I don't think Fagino's at the level to play in the WSL yet. No, I think she'd benefit Ayoba Fagino from like 15-minute cameos here and there. I mean, she started Arsenal this season. She started quite a lot of football, so I don't know. I just don't think she's ready for it. Khadija Shaw dropping in to receive the pass, and now City can come forwards. Alexandri's going to send that down the line. Fowler gets that under her control, but a good challenge from Kirsty Hansen wins Villa possession. It is now out now for a Villa throw. I mean, the camera cuts to Chiara Keating on the Man City bench, as it often does in recent weeks. The confusion still as to why she's been benched in favour of Ayaka Yamashita. And well, you've got to think, similar to Ellie Roebuck last season, if Keating isn't the starter by the end of this campaign, why wouldn't she look elsewhere? There's going to be a whole host of clubs interested in signing Chiara Keating. She wants to compete for that England #1 spot that we expect to open up over the next few years. It's very natural for her to look at getting starting football. Ball long from Aston Villa. Yamashita will send it the other way. I just think with City's business this summer, the priority for me wouldn't have been to go and sign a starting goalkeeper. And so that's what I don't understand, because not only have you displaced a very good young English goalkeeper who would have started for you for the next decade or so, or could have started you for the next decade or so, but you've also spent money in an area that wasn't really necessary. And now Aston Villa coming forwards. Greenwood recovers nicely though. Clearance is blocked there by Katie Robinson. And that's out for a Manchester City throw. But it's a bit of a weird start to the season for Aston Villa. Obviously, they had a lot of business over the summer. Obviously, Katie Robinson, one of those players. Gabriela Nunes, who starts up front today, one of those as well. But then we see others like Chastity Grant hasn't really got a look in yet. She's only had cameo appearances here and there. I think she started Chelsea as well, but she hasn't had a whole host of minutes. I think Paula Thomas, one of the standout players, one of the standout signings from the summer. I thought a red card against Brighton was a bit of a joke, if I'm honest, a bit of a soft one. I thought it was a penalty, but it didn't look deliberate to me. So I thought a red card was a bit harsh. Alas, I mean, she's not available. She wasn't available last weekend against Leicester. She's not available again today. Here is Alexandri. Ball goes forward into Fowler. Controls it well. Here's Kasperai. Tries to go down the line. And that will bounce out of play for a Man City throw. Johnny Jepson saying, is Nobbs playing? Yes. Jordan Nobbs is playing. Yeah, I do like this Villa side. It's a shame it's just not really working out yet for Robert de Pauw's team. Because I think they are well set up. We saw that against Chelsea in the opener. It's not really materialised into points yet. Villa throw here in their own third. City trying to put them under pressure, goes out for another Villa throw though. Here's Noel Maritz. Gabriela Nunes holds it up well. Marit sends it forward. Daly to Missy Bo-Kearns. Now Turner. And here's Kirsty Hansen. Hansen plays it inside to Bo-Kearns. Great challenge from Leah Alexandri. And City now on the front foot. Forced backwards though. And they'll look to hold on to the ball instead. I thought that was a bit weird there. City could have kept going forwards. Great tackle from Leah Alexandri. There's Jess Park on the ball. Currently occupying the right centre-half position with a few players out of position. Kasperai. Alexandri. Now Yamashita. Greenwood. Knocks it right to Leah Alexandri. Has an option of Yui Hasagawa, chooses not to use her, finds Khadija Shaw, who's dropped into the pocket again and manages to beat Jordan Nobbs and is now carrying it forwards. Knocks it wide. Hemp has Uahabi overlapping her. Decides not to use her, instead looking to come inside. Will now turn and go out wide to Leila Uahabi. Greenwood. Here's Jill Rord. Driving it towards goal, knocks it wide. Good challenge from Maritz. Will be picked up on by Uahabi though. Rord. Greenwood. Into Hemp. To Greenwood. And she's caught in possession there, Greenwood. One back by Nunes. Now Katie Robinson. Runs out of road though. Ends up winning a throw. Just feels like at the moment City doing a really good job of containing Aston Villa. Even when they win the ball back, we see there, Villa just have nowhere to go. It's a quick reaction from Greenwood and a wayward shot here. We're watching a replay, just cut back to a wayward effort for Man City. It's Khadija Shaw. So yeah, Villa's throw just robbed of possession in there. And Shaw fancies herself from range. Not a great effort though. Here's Maritz. Tries to go down the line and does find Gabriela Nunes. Throwing for Aston Villa though. Here's Parker. Villa happy to hold on to possession. Turner. Parker. Back to Turner. Now down the line into Kirsty Hansen. Hansen wanted to come inside as a poor pass backwards though, and here come Manchester City. Fowler again goes backwards. Just a little bit too slow at times for City at the moment. You know, they win the ball back half the field and then they slow it. They turn it round and just knock it about. I feel like there's a chance at the moment for them to take advantage of Villa being out of shape, of City winning that ball high. And instead, because they want control of the game, they're focused too much on that rather than just putting the ball in the back of the net. Parker pressured into putting that ball out of play. And that'll be a Man City throw. Leila Uahabi. Now Greenwood. And the ball has completely stopped there. City are in Villa's third. And they're just sat on the ball and they end up losing it again. Gavi Nunes wants to bring it forward. One back though by Greenwood. Now Rord. Uahabi. They just make what they're doing too readable by slowing that ball down to a practical stop. Here's Rord. Lifts a ball out wide to Mary Fowler. Got a fantastic pass and a great control. And here comes Fowler. Wants to take on Turner here. Fowler. Nice footwork. Needs a cutback option. One back in there by Missy Kearns. Alexandra wins the tackle. Going to fall for Jill Rord in the penalty area. Drags it out of the penalty area. Finds Lauren Hemp, who wants to take on Maritz. Maritz stays touch tight with her. Hemp finds Rord. Rord tries to play it inside. That's going to go out for a corner for Manchester City. And now they're starting to put that pressure on Man City. Starting to force the issue a little bit more. They've been laboured to start today's game. But now they are looking to try and find a breakthrough. Hasegawa. Now Fowler. Goes down the line into Jess Park. Park beats Patton. There's a strong tackle in there from Rachel Daly, who recovered round. That was really smart from Jess Park. Just knocked it past the defender. And then tried to run around her. But yeah, good challenge from Rachel Daly. Man City throw. The Chelsea fan says, I've got to go. See you, Chelsea fan. If you are about later, then we will be live for Chelsea versus Tottenham. A huge game in the WSL. Chelsea need to keep winning. Not been comfortable performances for Chelsea in any competition, really. So need to keep those points ticking over. Rachel Nyerere, I hope I'm pronouncing that name correctly, says Manchester City. I'm assuming supporting them. They are the strong favourites for today's encounter. They've got a throw-in now in Villa's third. But City just haven't really looked like scoring yet. And I think that's, a testament to Villa, but also City just play it too slow. They've had one shot so far and it was a speculative effort, if you can even call it an effort, from Khadija Shaw. Other than that, they've just not really done anything. They've had a lot of the ball, 68%. Made a lot of passes, already 94. But they're just not doing anything with the ball. Kasperai. Fowler. Kasperai. And that's overplayed, and that's an Aston Villa throw-in. And again, really cheaply conceding possession there. That was a strong tackle as well a few moments ago from Missy Kearns. A clean tackle, just a strong one. Greenwood. Now Alexandri. Greenwood. Finds Jill Rord. Rord now to Hasegawa. Alexandri. That switch was on there to Harvey. Goes down the line into Park instead. To Kasperai. That's blocked by Hansen, out for a City throw. Kasperai. Goes back to Alexandri. Now here's Yamashita. Greenwood. Shaw. Manages to find Uahabi. I really like what they're doing with dropping Shaw in. I feel like it can be seen as a bit of a waste of our talents. But because she is so good at receiving that ball and playing with her back to goal, I get why they're using it. And I think with obviously Park pushing on and that pushing Raud on as well, I don't think you really lose much in the attacking third. Because obviously Shaw will get back up there eventually. That's a ball in behind though. Villa winning it high up the field. Great header from Kasparai to take it away from oncoming Villa defenders. And Greenwood heads back to Ayaka Yamashita. But that's one there. City just get opened up. If it was a better ball into the box, if Gabby Nunes managed to bring it down, maybe Villa would have got a shot away. Maybe they'd have scored a goal. It's not quite coming off for them just yet, but the signs are there for Villa. City are still not infallible. They can still make mistakes, and I think we've seen that in a lot of games this season. And if any team's going to take advantage of that, it could well be Aston Villa. They've got a lot of firepower in attacking areas. Firepower that just hasn't been able to fire just, at this point in the season. But if it clicks today, if it comes together, I think City are there for the taking. It's just whether Villa can step up to the mark. Can they take on Man City? They've done a good job of it for 15 minutes. But football games are a lot longer than 15 minutes. Here's Jill Raud, going to chest that down the line. She'll carry it forwards with confidence. Here's Lauren Hemp. That's a good challenge in there from Patton, and Hemp had made the run too early. Was caught offside. Patton. Now Parker. Into Nobbs. Parker down the line. Maritz. Good chance from Harvey, but that takes it out of play for a Villa throw-in. Maritz. Goes back to Patton. To Parker, sorry. Here's Patton. Now D'Angelo. Nobbs. Patton. And a ball forward from Turner. Wanted to find Gabby Nunes, cut out though. So yeah, it is a 4-2-3-1 for Aston Villa today. Rachel Daly playing attacking midfield, which is an odd sight. And then Nunes taking up that striker position. And Villa trying to deal with that ball, trying to knock it out of play. It's kept alive though by Kasparai. Park, now Fowler. This could go into the box. Bo Kearns does well to get in front of it. Hasegawa, nice turn. Here's Greenwood, now Uahabi. Hemp wants to drive inside but can't. Greenwood, Lauren Hemp now, turns, driving towards goal, goes to Jess Park, nice footwork from Park. Will knock it wide, here is Jill Raud. That's a ball into the box, takes a flick off a Villa defender, and it's a header on target from Shaw, saved by D'Angelo. And that's the first shot of the game we've seen from City on target. There's a really nice, well-worked move. Jill Raud's ball in, took a flick off a defender, Shaw adjusted her body well. Just couldn't drive enough power behind that header. The problem is because it kicks up off the defender, it's such a difficult one to then drive any power through because you can't sort of go with the momentum of the ball. You're just cushioning it towards the goalkeeper. Here's Mary Fowler. Tries to cut it back to Raud on the edge. Will fall for Uahabi. Robinson competes for it. Uahabi holds on to it. Greenwood now. Here's the ball over the top. On. Tries to find Jill Raud in the pocket. Raud competes for it, but it's won back by Villa. Maritz. Nobbs. Here's Parker trying to play out of their own penalty area. Smartly Parker just smashing it out of play. I just think if Villa are slightly more composed, they'll find the space today. There is space to be exploited in there. As I say, they're not perfect, Manchester City. Yet. I mean, they probably will be at some point this season. But there are still mistakes in their game. Kasparai. Pass down the line that's sold Park a little short. And it's won back by Aston Villa. City win it back quickly though with a good chance from Alexandri. Now Fowler. Alexandri's tackle numbers this season must be through the roof. Because of the openness of City's midfield, because Hasegawa is the lone pivot in there and they send a lot of players forward, they are reliant heavily on players like Greenwood and Alexandri making those tackles, getting the ball back in those do or die situations, where if you get it wrong, you're probably sent off, or if you miss it, the player is through on goal. So, but because they've got players that are so good in those positions, they can rely on that a lot of the time. And I think Leah Alexandra is stepping up into that role this season, really making that right centre-half position her own. Here come Aston Villa though, Rachel Daly. And again, we see the transitional threat that Villa can pose, especially with how open Manchester City are. Coming down the left-hand side, Kirsty Hansen puts it into the box. Nunes reacts quickly and it's there. Manchester City 0, Aston Villa 1. And it's a great, incisive breakaway. A ball into the box from Kirsty Hansen, flicked on wonderfully at the near post by Gabby Nunes. And just like a week ago, City go a goal down. And it's been a messy half for City, a messy first 20 minutes. They've not been proficient enough in front of goal. Aston Villa break with speed down the left-hand side. It's a good ball into the box, and it's flicked on wonderfully by Gabby Nunes, and that's what she was signed for. To come up with finishes like that, we see Rachel Daly thriving in this attacking midfield role, carries the ball forward. Kirsty Hansen takes on Kasparai, beats her down the line. It's a ball in, and Nunes reacts quicker than Alexandri, and it's a really good finish, a really quality finish to poke it round Alexandri and in at the far post. Again, Yamashita doesn't react. Manchester City 0, Aston Villa 1. And well, City, who entered this game week top of the table, may find themselves slip from that lofty perch if this game stays the same. Good start for Aston Villa. And again, we saw it last weekend. City probing the opposition, looking like the dominant side, having high possession statistics, but it takes one breakaway and a bit of goalkeeping that maybe should have been better. I think that on this occasion, though, you've got to blame the defence a bit more. Last week, definitely, I think Yamashita held the majority of the blame. I think in this case, City just got opened up way too easily. And this has been the issue all season. They are just so open in transition and so poor at defending those fast breaks. And I was saying a moment ago how they rely on players like Leah Alexandri, like Alex Riemer to make those last-ditch tackles. And we saw there, the issue is when they don't make those challenges, the opposition are going to have goal-scoring opportunities. And a team like Aston Villa, with the quality they have in attacking areas, will put them in the back of the net, as we've just seen showcased. Here's Lauren Hemp. Hasegawa. Now Greenwood. I think what we're learning about Robert de Pauw as well from these early games is he's really good at coaching these big matches. Now, he set Villa up today to be super compact in defensive areas, super solid, and to block every City opportunity, but then to break with speed and to find those gaps in the City midfield, which they're doing really effectively. City trying to come forwards here. Strong challenge, though, from Parker. Prevents any progress. Harry says, wow. I think that's the only word to summarise it. Isabella says, just got here, so glad I got here in time for the goal. Yes, indeed. Justin saying, okay. Yeah, I mean, obviously Justin was saying at the start how United drew yesterday. They need City to drop points today. Well, this is the perfect start, really, if you want City to drop points. And Owen saying this season anyone can beat anyone. Yeah, I've seen a lot about this. Well, obviously, last weekend we saw Liverpool take on Manchester City, which a year ago wouldn't have seemed possible. And the same here. I think the overall standard, not just in players in the WSL, but also in coaches in the WSL, I think has risen in this season. We're seeing teams like Brighton who are playing without fear now. I mean, a great summer of recruitment, a great appointment in Dario Vidosic, and they're a side who will take on teams. We saw it against Manchester City. We saw it yesterday against Manchester United. They'll take on teams who, in terms of investment and what you would expect from the sides, you would expect Brighton would lose those games, but they go and they compete, and they play without fear, and they play to their strengths. And I think that's a huge testament to the coaching quality, to the managerial quality in the WSL right now, and also to these sides signing better players. Now, as I say, I think that the business from Brighton was fantastic. We've seen players like Nikita Parrish yesterday really flourish in that side. Aston Villa the same. We've just seen a goal from Gabby Nunes, a player who, a side who were, 7th in the WSL last season, really shouldn't be signing. And that shows the quality and the pull of the Women's Super League. The fact that players like that are joining. And that's a ball in behind. Lauren Hemp's going to get there. Great goalkeeping, though, from Sabrine D'Angelo. Smothering that shot. And now here come Aston Villa. Robinson. Nobbs looks to switch the play. Flick on from Rachel Daly. Kirsty Hansen now trying to carry that ball forwards. I think the other thing that's brought every team in the WSL closer is that the sides that were sort of 4th, 5th, 6th last season haven't made up huge ground. Or haven't made huge, haven't really come on. You look at Tottenham and I think they've downgraded. And so that just means that, everyone closes up a little bit more because the points are being shared a little bit more evenly. You've got in there a Liverpool side who I think have made some big upgrades, but the points aren't there yet. And it hasn't really clicked yet because they have such a light squad. So few players in it. The players that are playing for Liverpool are really good. But the problem is there aren't many players that play for Liverpool right now. The bench last weekend consisted of quite a few teenagers because they've got so many injuries and didn't sign enough over the summer. So they are a little bit short on players at the moment. And then Man United. Man United are such an odd case because, as I say, I thought they played really well in the first 3 games of the season, but they weren't tested. They played against Everton and West Ham, who for me are the 2 sides most likely to go down this season. Them and Crystal Palace, I think, are quite even at the moment in my expectations. And then they played Tottenham, who have been one of the worst sides, especially defensively, one of the worst sides to watch this year. I don't seem to have any idea what they're doing at the moment, Tottenham. So, yeah, it's been a really interesting season so far. It does feel like it's impossible to predict from one weekend to the other how the game's going to go. Greenwood. But City proved last weekend that even when the going gets tough, I've messed up that sentence, but as the going gets tough, they do get going. They do have tools in their arsenal to change the game. Ball into the box now. Park unable to meet it, and that should bounce out for an Aston Villa goal kick. No, it's a corner. That has taken a deflection off there. Yeah, Lauren Hemp's ball in. Oh yeah, it did take a flick off Noel Moritz. So City a chance now to flood the penalty area, try and hit back against Aston Villa. And it is Lauren Hemp over this. Goes short to Park. I don't really get why City aren't putting the ball in the box. Hasegawa, now they do with Lauren Hemp. And that's headed away by Gavi Nunes. And everyone for Villa trying to compete for the ball. So many tackles in there just not coming off. They're making the tackle and the ball just spins off to another City player. Roared. Now Greenwood. Here's Leah Alexandri. Hasegawa. Alexandri. But yeah, with corners, I think City have that height advantage in there. Why not just put the ball in the box? They have got a lot of players who will be very dangerous. Instead, they're doing this whole routine, and then it results in nothing. Resulting in a really overhit ball towards the back post that Gavi Nunes headed away. And I think with the aerial presence City have got, you look at players like Khadija Shaw, like Leah Alexandri, even Alex Greenwood. You've got really accomplished headers of the ball. Why not put the ball in the box and see what they get from it? That's a great tackle from Moritz there. Really asserting herself on Jess Park. Yamashita. Here's Greenwood. Now Leah Alexandri. Ball down the line into Casper Ryan. It has found the Dutchman. The Dutch woman, sorry. Ball into the box. Dealt with though by Parker. And that was a soft one there. And not given, rightfully by the referee. I assumed from the City protest that would be given, but I like Kirsty Dowie's decision there not to go with the protest. Uwa Harvey is never looking to try and hold on to that ball. She's thrown herself on the floor while running towards Kirsty Hansen. And that's strong refereeing not to fall for something like that. And it means Villa have a throw-in now. Missy Bo-Kearns tries to go down the line. Hasegawa prevents it. City looks so uncomfortable in possession, though they have now won it back. Alexandri. Villa are causing them all sorts of issues at the moment. City are either too slow, especially in these areas where they set up in this back three when Hasegawa drops between the two centre-halves. They're just getting pushed deeper and deeper until they try and force that ball forwards. And it either, occasionally it's come off, but then they come unstuck in the final third, or it just gets prevented by Aston Villa. And if Villa can start being a little bit more clinical with how they get that ball back and how they then move it forwards and how they transition, like they did for their goal, I think at the moment, based on how the two sides are playing, Villa getting a second is more likely than City scoring. Now, obviously, City can turn it on in an instant and they can suddenly look like the side that's going to score, and Yamashita is going to send this long and they may just transition and score a goal. But what we're seeing is City really struggle to break a side down. And I think this will be a cause for concern for Gareth Taylor because it's something they've not struggled with. City's issues have always been around defence, around build-up. This season they've looked really good at build-up. They've looked really good in possession. But they're having a bit of a Jonas Eidevall moment in this game. Greenwood. They just can't break down a really well put together side, a really well organised and structured low block. Here's Park. Greenwood. Finds Fowler. Here's Uahabi. And a pass inside to Jess Park. Greenwood. Shaw. That's a guard of Greenwood. Greenwood makes a mess of that. And is that a Villa throw? No, it isn't. Hansen thought it was, given the other way. But yeah. And again, City are losing, so we cut. So we cut the camera to Chloe Kelly sat on the bench, looking glum. That's been a bit of an odd situation. The dispute, seemingly, or the disagreement between Chloe Kelly and Gareth Taylor. In the media, they've denied it, but all reports seem to suggest the opposite. They've said the relationship's fine. But, a lot of reports claiming it isn't. We'll be interested to see what happens there. Obviously, there was the opportunity for Kelly to move away this summer, with reported interest from the likes of PSG. Well, it does seem she's been usurped from a starting role in this City side. But the issue is, when she's given those cameo appearances, when she's given chances in the Champions League, for me, she's got to do more to show why she deserves to start more often. I don't think she does that. City throw. Kasparov. Now Alexandri. Greenwood. Rord. Alexandri will drive this ball out of defence. Now Kasparov. Alexandri continues their run down the line. Patton commits and misses it. Alexandri finds Shaw. Shaw turns, lays it off now to Rord. Rord, no space for the shot, goes to Uahabi. Uahabi pulling wide to try and find Mary Fowler. So Fowler and Hemp have swapped sides. But Villa manage to force her into an error. And that's a Villa throw. And again, another really positive aspect of Villa's play is the aggression. And it's not over-aggression, but it's just being a little bit forceful. And a little bit... And being strong up against Hemp, up against Fowler. And they're unsettling them. A lot of players are just too weak, too flimsy. They put a challenge in, but it's not firm enough. And then, a player of Hemp or Fowler's quality will beat them. But Villa today, their fullback's really strong in the challenge, really assertive, trying to win that ball back. Lauren Hemp now puts the ball into box. Rord will get there, but she can't. You thought for all the world that she would meet that and turn it home, but it's just out of the reach of Jill Rord. And Manchester City miss a big opportunity there. It's a great ball in from Lauren Hemp. It's a great run from Jill Rord. She just can't quite meet it. Can't quite contort her body to connect with the ball. And Manchester City remain a goal behind. But that was close. And they are now probing Aston Villa. And they have the ball again. Here's Hemp. Park. Cut out well by Bo Kearns. Will fall though for Rord. Here's Uahabi. Now Fowler. Had that wide option onto Jill Rord. Doesn't like it though and goes back to Uahabi instead. Here is Greenwood. Alexandri. Knocks it wide. Hemp. Can she look to turn? She does turn. Lauren Hemp dragged back by Daniel Taylor. And I think she'll be lucky to avoid a yellow there. But she will for now. Riley Taylor asking, you are alone. Yes, I am Riley Taylor, but I'm not, because we've got loads of people in chat saying that's what we love to see. But yes, I don't have a co-host alongside me today. Harry will be joining me later though for Chelsea versus Tottenham, so do make sure to be there. Jess Park carrying that ball forwards, tries to get a shot away. It's blocked. It's going to fall now for Lauren Hemp. Hemp takes aim, and that's smothered well by D'Angelo. And she's a player having a really good season, Sabrine D'Angelo. Someone who I think was bashed, either, whether you think that was rightfully or wrongfully, was bashed quite a lot for her performances at Arsenal, was scapegoated a few times last season, but this season really showing her quality. I think we saw it against Chelsea on the opening day of the season, where she was really strong. Made some great saves, almost scored in actual fact as well. Let's not forget. So, if Villa do need a goal, I've got that option late on. Here's Ua Harvey. Greenwood. Alexandri. Exchange with Yamashita. Now Alexandri can carry it forwards. Finds Jess Park in the half space. Here's Lauren Hemp. Hemp looks to go down the line. Pass cut out. And out for a City throw. Referee will stop the game just to check that Daniel Taylor is alright. Hemp just lifted that ball into her face there. But play will continue. Throw in now for Manchester City. One back though by Aston Villa. Here's Missy Kearns. Has no passing option on there. Villa just both their wingers just flew forwards, expecting that ball to go in behind. If Missy Kearns had pulled that off, Aston Villa would be in a great position. But it is forced backwards. They hold on to the ball well though. Here is Moritz. Moritz can send that down the line. That gives Katie Robinson something to chase. Robinson up against Greenwood now for Aston Villa. Ua Harvey gets back in. She finds Gabby Nunes though, bearing in on goal. Good chance from Greenwood. That is the right side of the law. And City regain possession. Nunes furious with that one. But I like it. I like that Kirsty Downey's letting this game run, because we've seen a couple now where that players, other referees would probably give them Heaslip. Heaslip gives everything. But yeah, I like that she's letting this game flow a bit. Obviously nothing overboard, nothing over the top, but yeah, I thought that was a fine challenge. CM says, with the Euros coming up next year, will Kelly change clubs to keep her England place? She's kept it for now, but if she continues on the bench, that may change. Well, we saw a similar situation with Esme Morgan, who of course departed to go out to America. I can't remember which club now. I want to say Washington Spirit, but I'm not sure. And I wouldn't be surprised if we saw Kelly change. I wouldn't expect her to go out to the NWSL. I still think there's a place for her in Europe. Possibly PSG. Though that's arguably not the destination to be at right now. They're, they're not the force in Ligue 1. They're not in the Champions League this year. But it is an option. But yeah, I think there will be clubs interested in Kelly. Is there a spot at another WSL side? Probably. Would she want to drop to that standard? I'm not sure. But, it's all up to personal preference. There will be options for Kelly, though. And I wouldn't be surprised if she's exploring them. Shaw to Park. Park cuts inside. Really good tackle, though. Really important tackle from Daniel Turner there, just recovering. Hansen will lift it inside. Nunes is pushed, but that seems to be fine. The referee's book. Nunes frustrated again, though, by that one. Shaw. Great challenge from Moritz to deny that pass to Fowler, and now Villa will look to play out. Isabella says, I honestly think Kelly would still remain in the England team. Serena tends to keep certain players in the squad pretty frequently, kind of has her favourites. Yeah, I think that's been quite, Serena's England squad selection has been quite interesting in that she does seem to have those favourites. I think we saw the same with Esme Morgan. But equally, Esme Morgan, a very reliable player, a very versatile player, which is useful to have in a squad. I think with Chloe Kelly, the issue is there is more competition in those places. You're looking at the attackers that England might be bringing to the next tournament, and for me, at the moment, you've got Jess Park has to be nailed in the England squad. Grace Clinton has to be nailed, and then Lauren James, Beth Mead probably nailed, even though I don't think she's played particularly well, but I think she's always going to be in Serena's selection, and she's playing for Arsenal, and Lauren Hemp. And already you're saying, well, maybe there's 1-2 more attacking, those midfield winger type positions. So, if you've got Ella Toon competing for that spot, if you've got potential for Nikita Paris, is there a chance she forces herself back into England contention? She's playing so well at the moment. So I do think there is a lot of issues there for Kelly because there is a bit more competition. I think with players like Morgan, that there isn't that competition in defence. I think there is a bit of a lack of quality, especially at left back. We don't have a whole lot of options. In fact, looking at the next international break, because Niamh Charles is out injured, I think it's just Esme Morgan and Jess Carter could cover there as well. But we're a little bit light in positions like that. Whereas I think in wide areas, in attacking areas, that isn't an issue for England. There is so much depth. And if Kelly isn't playing consistently or regularly or well, I think that's a real issue for her. But I guess we'll see. Obviously, she is in this team. She is in the squad that will play the internationals over the next 2 weeks. We'll see how she gets on. We'll see if she plays. But yeah, it's going to be very interesting. Sam Jakes says Man City looking likely to score now. Yeah, they are starting to come forwards with a bit more regularity, but they're not really getting shots away. If we look at the stats, it's 5 shots to 1. Obviously, Villa have only had 1. I'm not saying that they're dominating this game, but City aren't turning their 71% possession into total dominance. They've only had 1 big chance so far. That was the one for Jill Roord, I assume. That was probably their best opportunity of the game. If it isn't that, I'm not sure what it is. But other than that, they've registered just 3 shots on target in almost, over 40 minutes now. Yeah, I think this Villa side are very well set up and it's causing City issues. The big question mark is how does City adapt? And I think we've seen it before from Gareth Taylor, is he lacks that pragmatism. When his side are behind, he doesn't usually have the tools to break teams down. I think if he can add that to his wheelhouse, then suddenly you're looking at a manager who's very complete. He's got a nice skill set and that City can challenge for titles for. But the reason they don't kill teams off, the reason they don't finish games off, is because that adaptability and that pragmatism just isn't there yet for Gareth Taylor. I think that's just what they're missing. I mean, there are still some issues with the base tactic anyway. I do think with build-up, they're a little bit... I find it odd to play with a 3-back and then 1 pivot player. I do think that leaves you a little bit light on options. It means they're dragging Shaw deep. It means they're dragging Roord deep. Which I don't mind Jill Roord, but dragging Shaw deep is a bit of an odd one. I think, again, we're seeing here, they're using the width really nicely, but they're not able to then get balls into the box because when you rely so heavily on your wingers beating a player, if those wingers are playing as well as they are today, as we're seeing for Aston Villa, it makes it very difficult for City to break them down. And they've got to find another way to go. But Villa are playing very, very well. As Paul points out in chat, this Villa side was very impressive when they played Chelsea, hard team to break down. Very true. But the key difference is, while Villa came forwards low, Chelsea's defence stood firm. And while Chelsea didn't come forwards often, Carnegie scored a goal. And the question is, again, we spoke about this last week with City-Liverpool, where Liverpool was so good, especially the first half, so good, and City couldn't break them down for large parts. The question was, can City find a way through? And eventually they did. But the problem for City is, can they do this so consistently? Because this looks now they're going to go into the break 1-0 down. And then they've got another 45 minutes where they're chasing a game. And not only does that mean, obviously, that they are then, they've got to change up, they've got to make, they've got to come forward still. It also means that the players, they can't rest players as often. They can't make changes. We saw Shaw play 90 minutes last week. Then she had to come on for 45 minutes against Poulton because they couldn't kill that game off. It looks like, if they don't score before 60 minutes, if they go into the break 1-0, I can't see Shaw coming off. There's another 90 minutes for Khadija Shaw. And the issue is these minutes start to build up. Because, if you would like Aston Villa to be the sort of game where you win, where you score 2 goals in the first half and then you can start to rotate in the second half. But they're not having their own way, City. And I think as these minutes start to build up, as the fatigue starts to build up, I think it's going to cost them. I think the Champions League this season has shown, with those extra games, that I think that will have an effect for City. Chelsea aren't affected in the same way because they've got the depth, because they've got the experience of playing in that competition. So I do think that makes a big difference. And Ryzen says, do you think this is where City are behind Chelsea? The lack of squad depth meaning people get tired? Yeah. Yeah, as I was saying, Ryzen, I think that is at the moment. I also think that they are slightly less defensively solid. I think that Chelsea's defence are just slightly better. I'd say Hampton's a better goalkeeper than Yamashita. I prefer the bright... I don't know. I really like Leila Alexandra. I think she's a quality player. And before this season, I'd have said Chelsea's fullbacks are better, and that is still true on the left-hand side, but I'm not sure on Lucy Bronze yet. Still have huge doubts over her ability to defend, which it does turn out is quite a crucial part of playing right-back. But, yeah. It's an interesting one. So, but the thing is, we talk about this now, but in 45 minutes' time, I think it will be the same. It could well be the same story we saw last week, where great first half for Aston Villa, but as the fatigue starts to set in and as City finally start getting more opportunities more consistently, I think they'll finally find a goal. And once they get one, they look very likely to get two. So I think that I think it's too early to begin that sort of discourse, but I do think there are issues for City. Because they won't get away with games like Liverpool every week. And they might not get away with it today. And obviously if they do drop points today, if they either draw and find themselves on 11 or lose and find themselves on 10 points, the issue it opens up is that Chelsea could finish today on 12 points and with a game in hand. Which I think is then such a bad position for City to be in. Already behind when the two sides meet in November and Chelsea have a game in hand. It's a tough one. 2 minutes of additional time in this first half, which will be on the scoreboard once I can work out how to do that. Oh, it's already set the 2 minutes. Lovely stuff. But yeah. There, Jill Ward poking an effort on goal. It's another save for D'Angelo, who is going to make me regret benching her in Fantasy WSL this weekend, I can already see. Because at the moment, I think she's on about 5 saves, or 4 or 5 saves, and has... at the moment, keeping a clean sheet. I've got Fallon Tullis-Joyce starting, who obviously didn't keep a clean sheet yesterday. Foul there from Missy Kearns on Lauren Hemp. That will be Manchester City's free kick, and they'll try and come forwards here with a minute left of the half. Lauren Hemp. Now Ua Harvey uses Hemp. Hemp trying to find Rord. Great outside the boot pass into Jill Rord. Rord, though, has to play the way she's facing, and that's backwards, and Hansen picks it off, and here come Aston Villa. Kirsty Hansen again driving down this left-hand side. Looking like they'll break City here. Alexandri with a crucial challenge, but Hansen fights for it. Alexandri fights harder and wins it back, and now City can come forwards. Park, poor pass, smashed long by Daniel Turner. And City have back possession. And that moment of franticity ended there by Turner's clearance. And that should see Aston Villa into the break. Here's Ua Harvey. Have City got one last attack left in them? That ball will go long, looking for Khadija Shaw. Chance for Shaw, but that will run through to D'Angelo, who will gather that ball with ease. And probably hold it until the referee blows her whistle. And she does now. That is half-time here at the Joey Stadium. Manchester City 0, Aston Villa 1. And for a second consecutive week, City find themselves behind. At the moment, the leaders would slip as low as third with a chance to slip as low as fourth. How do I turn off the timer? There we go. So it's half-time here at the Joey Stadium. Wow. And breathe. What a first half of football. What a first half of football. I'm going to take a quick drink and then we'll get into some chatting. But yeah. Isabella's saying, I love the little Lucy Bronze comment that's thrown in every stream. I can't resist. She frustrates me so much to watch. I still find that signing completely pointless, but alas. Lucky says, hey, good to see you, Lucky. Paul says, Chelsea are only in third gear too, with the injuries and the amount of debuts they're using. They're turning into a monster team. Yeah, and I think that's going to be interesting to see what Chelsea look like come the end of the season. I still think they've not fully adapted to what Juan Pastor wants to do. I still think it's a little bit... clumsy. I don't know if that's the right word or the word I want to use, but it's the word I'm using in this situation. I don't think it's perfect yet. So Chelsea are playing well, or playing well enough. They're getting all the results over the line. I just don't think they're infallible just yet. And that's a really scary thought because they've won every game. So the fact they're probably not up to their full potential yet, they're not playing as well as they can, I think that's a really scary prospect for the rest of the WSL. I will say, though, I still think there's more to come from Manchester City, and I still think that Arsenal squad in the second half of the season, once they've got a manager, I think will be dangerous. Not in the title fight. For me, and this may feel premature, but I think Arsenal won't win the league now. So they're just too far behind. I think with a new manager, though, they do become a threat when they play teams like Chelsea and City. And so for me, they will still have a part to play in the title race. I just can't see how they win it. I mean, especially if they lose today, they shouldn't. They should win. But they're already 5 points behind Manchester City, and that's if City lose today. And they'll find themselves, they are 4 points behind Chelsea. Chelsea with a game in hand. On top of the fact, obviously, both teams set to play today. I think Arsenal are just too far off it right now. Maybe if there's some sort of miraculous recovery, I just can't see it happening though, personally. But I still think they'll have a part to play in the title race this season. Obviously taking points off other teams. I think that's where Brighton and Man United will also come in huge. I think they'll be really difficult games. And we've seen already Man City get past Brighton, squeeze past Brighton. And yeah, obviously we've not seen either Chelsea or City play Man United yet. United have had quite a nice fixture list. But anyway, let's have a look then at the highlights from that first half. That goal from Gabby Nunes. It was a really nice breakaway from Aston Villa. And again, it's where City are so vulnerable in transition. And you see it here because when Rachel Daly gets the ball on the halfway line, there are 3 Villa players and 3 Man City players ahead of her. And that's why City get opened up. Because Villa are player for player along that back. City are player for player along that back line. Now the issue that creates is that if one player beats another, if a Villa player beats a Man City player, they're in. So that is the issue of going player for player on the back line, but they have to because they want to send Kasper forwards and they want to, have Hasegawa playing as this pivot player. I find their rest defence is really poor, Man City, because they've got a 3-1 setup, which I don't know any other team in football that does that across either the men's or women's game. I think it's way too aggressive. A lot of teams play a 3-2 rest defence, so you've got that back 3, but you've got 2 players in front shielding it. So at least there's another layer of protection. And Chelsea women's side do that as well. We see often that the left-hand side, whether that be Sondi Baltimore or Ashley Lawrence, will push super high, and eventually that will be Niamh Charles. And then Lucy Bronze comes in, they form that back 3. But they're shielded by Nuskin and Cuthbert. They just cut those passing lines, and they obviously can then get in when Chelsea are trying to defend transitions. I still think Chelsea are a bit open on transition, to be fair, but they are less open than Man City. City are so open, and I know Yui Hasegawa can cover the face of the earth sometimes with her movement, but it does leave gaps in there because she can't cover the whole pitch. So there's a bit of an issue. Chris saying looking a lot more competitive this season. I think it is. I think the gap between the top and the bottom side is so much smaller. Maybe not the bottom, but because I think still Everton, West Ham, Palace are quite far off everyone else. But I think after that, from is it 9th upwards? I think 9th to 1st, much tighter than it was last season. I think teams like Leicester now are so much more difficult to beat than they were last year. I think Brighton are a real force to be reckoned with. I think Villa, so much more difficult to beat than they were last year. Tottenham, I have no idea what's going on. Maybe they'll get good soon. We'll see today. Maybe today might be a marked improvement and Chelsea might have a tough game on their hands. If Tottenham play like they have been in recent weeks, I think that that derby day might be more of a drubbing than a derby. So we'll see. But yeah, I think that gap at the moment between the mid-table sides and then those sides just outside of Europe and then those top teams, I think that's all just closed up a little bit more. And I think that is making for a really interesting season. I don't think teams like City and Chelsea can just rely on the fact they will beat everyone else. And we looked at, if you think about last season, the games against Arsenal and, the games where Chelsea played City or Arsenal and games where City played Chelsea or Arsenal were so important because you didn't see anywhere else where they would drop points. Now, ultimately, Chelsea dropped points at Liverpool and City dropped points at Brighton. But other than that, they had flawless records against the other sides in the leagues. And for me, that just shows where the difference is. Obviously, Arsenal didn't. Shock. But I think this season that we will see City and Chelsea drop points against teams. Potentially. I mean, Chelsea haven't yet. But, to be fair, neither have City yet. But I think that will come. Because that gap has narrowed so much. And we've already seen it with Arsenal. Even more so than we did last season. I think we will see it. Well, we've already seen it technically with Manchester United obviously losing to Brighton yesterday. Sorry, drawing with Brighton yesterday. So yeah, I do think that gap is a lot smaller. And the quality across the league is actually very strong. And I don't think it's that the top sides have got worse at all. And I still think City are as good, if not better, than they were last season. I think Chelsea are not far off where they were last season. Maybe they've got a little bit worse because obviously every managerial change is going to have little issues, little teething issues, though it hasn't shown yet in the results. And I think that the performances in Europe as well demonstrate that those sides are still top quality, bar Arsenal, of course, but losing to Bayern. But, I still think that those gaps are a lot smaller in the WSL. It's making it much more interesting. CM saying, even if Arsenal go unbeaten the rest of the season, it's hard to see Chelsea slipping up and dropping points. Yes, well, that's the thing, isn't it? If Chelsea only lose to Arsenal and City, Arsenal can't win the league because they wouldn't be able to make up the points. And that's why I see the issue already. Because even if you say, Chelsea might drop points against Man United, but Arsenal might as well. And so that's my issue at the moment. That's why I don't think Arsenal are in the title race this season. We'll see. If they get a new manager in over the international break or before Christmas and they start to turn things around, then maybe it's a different situation. Or if René Slegers is the person to take them forwards, maybe we'll see some changes. I just at the moment don't think it's plausible to see them catch up, because I think there will be more games where they drop points this season. So, and I think that at the moment they would lose to Chelsea or Man City. Again, they might win every game left this season, but I just don't think they'll be able to catch it up. But we'll see. Maybe Chelsea and City will fall apart and Arsenal will soar through. Harry says, City can't keep coming back from behind. They'll eventually lose the first half performances like this. Yeah, very true. That's what I was saying earlier. Against Liverpool probably should have seen that out today. At the moment, Aston Villa should see this out. Now, what happens in the second half, we're yet to see. But at the moment, it's another game where City have put themselves in jeopardy. Put themselves in a real issue for the second 45. So, yeah, it's just very messy. They're not killing these games off. They're not handling these performances like teams like Chelsea do. And for me, that's the big difference. That's why Chelsea win titles and City haven't yet. For a few years, I mean. CM saying, yeah, true, Arsenal are already relying on other teams to slip up. Exactly. And that's the issue. John says, good to see a competitive half, hoping Villa don't sit back. The problem is they sort of need to sit back. But they have. The thing is, in the first half, Villa have sat back, and that's what's benefited them, because they have been so narrow and compact in defensive areas. That what you don't want to see, though, is them drop too deep, where they're practically on their goal line and not trying to transition. Because the reason that there is that threat is because they're getting it long and they're finding players. What you see with so many smaller sides, I've watched Crystal Palace this season and noticed at Everton and West Ham, they clear that ball away rather than trying to pick out someone in attacking areas. Whereas Villa, as we've seen, they try and play out. They try and find someone in an attacking area. And so the difference is Villa can then use that ball. And even if it doesn't result in a goal, even if it doesn't result in a shot, it will kill time. And every couple minutes that you kill off, it's just a couple less minutes that you have to defend valiantly for. I think Liverpool did it were prone a bit last week, where because they brought off Olivia Smith, didn't they, because of injury, and they ended up just going so deep. So I think that was a bit of an issue, and that's why City ultimately came back. So I agree. I get what you're saying there, John. I don't think they can afford to just sit on their goal line, because eventually City will make them succumb to the pressure. Villa have got to play how they were and adapt to whatever City do. You would expect City to make changes. Even if they're not personnel-wise, I think we'll see some tactical tweaks. We'll see them try something a little bit different in the second half. It'll be interesting to see what they do and how Villa react to it. But yeah, still a long 45 minutes. Still a lot can change in that time. Liu says it seems we can watch more competitive matches than last year. Yeah, I think that tends to be the sentiment now. A lot of people agreeing with that this will be a much more competitive season across the board. Now, I think you look at last season and it was at times a 3-horse race, but eventually a 2-horse race for the title. You had Arsenal who couldn't be caught. You had United and Liverpool were sort of in their own group for 4th and 5th. Tottenham were by themselves. It was just very spread out. There wasn't much competitiveness in the table. And then you had Bristol City who were down from the moment the ball was kicked. This season, I think you've got 3 teams who are definitely in the relegation fight. Potentially Leicester if they can't get their act together quickly. Potentially Aston Villa if they can't get their act together quickly. So I think you've got a lot of people competing for or fighting against relegation, which obviously then means when they play teams like Chelsea, rather than like we saw with Bristol City where they just rolled over because they were already relegated, you'll see teams turn up and go, well, we need to win this to stay in the league. And I think that can also make a difference. That can also play into the competitiveness. So I think we have got such an exciting season on our hands because everything in the table is just a little bit closer, a little bit tighter. Neo TNT saying, Taylor will cause City not to win the title. These new players aren't fitting in well. Kelly isn't starting. Well, that's an interesting point, because obviously City, if you look at City's 11 today, there is one new signing starting. Yeah. I was trying to think if there are any others. No, there's one new signing starting, and that is Ayaka Yamashita, who I wouldn't put the blame on for today's goal. Other than that, Miedema obviously played quite a bit, but now Joe Roard's back. I think we'll see Roard more often in that role, and Miedema used a bit less frequently, a bit more sparingly. But none of the others have established themselves as stars. I agree that Fagino probably shouldn't have had as many minutes as she did, because I don't think she's ready for that yet. I think she's still a bit raw. But City didn't make any huge changes to their squad, bar changing their goalkeeper for some reason. So I get what you're saying, but I think I wouldn't blame the new starters. I think the same. I don't know why they've got new issues. I don't know why they've changed how they were playing from last season so considerably, but probably because they sold a midfielder and forgot to replace her. That seems to be the big hole. Is that they sold Philippa Angeldal and went, oh well, we'll just get by. And I think that's leaving them so open in midfield, because they've gone from a 3-2-4-1 type shape to a 3-2-5-1 type shape, or a 3-2-4-2 type, a 3-1-4-2 shape. So it leaves them very open in midfield. And then that's a big issue. As we've seen today, that they are so open in transition. And I think if that persists, they will be opened up by teams who counter effectively. And last week, Liverpool, great counter-attacking team. This week, Aston Villa, great counter-attacking team. And City just don't know how to play against those teams, because they didn't put their chance away. If City had scored the goals they could have today, if City had taken their chances, you knock the wind out of Villa's sails, and then you look like you're going to see the game out. But they've not taken their chances, and they've conceded from the one shot they've faced. I think it is genuinely one shot to Aston Villa. Yeah, one shot, one on target, one big chance, put it in the back of the net. Other than that, they've had just 27% of the ball, completed just 113 passes, but they're leading. And that's the statistic that matters in football. Who's put the ball in the other team's net? City have had all of the possession, but only 6 shots and 4 on target. For me, that's just not good enough. And I think even that is somewhat favourable for City, those statistics. I think they're somewhat flattering Man City, because a lot of the shots that have been on target just haven't been great. D'Angelo's a good goalkeeper, but she's not been overly worked in that goal. The Shaw header at close range didn't have much behind it. The Roard one that was poked towards her had nothing behind it. So, I think, even the statistics are flattering City. They're not doing anything with the ball at the moment. They've got to create more opportunities. They've got to get more shots away. They've got to create higher quality opportunities as well. Villa boys saying, I'm nervous for the second half. Fair enough. Justin saying Villa will collapse in the second half. It's Villa. Well, what a chance this would be to get some points on the board, because they've only got 2 points at the moment, Aston Villa. They've had a messy start to the season, despite the fact I think in all of their games they probably deserve something. They should have beaten Tottenham. Probably should have got a draw against Chelsea. The Brighton game, I would say, is an extraneous one, a variable one, because of the red card to Paulo Thomas, because of the penalty. There were so many weird decisions in that game. But yeah, I don't think Villa have been bad at all. And I do wonder if City just underestimated them a little bit coming into today's game. But either way, 45 minutes now for City to turn this tie on its head, to turn this game on its head. It will be City to get us back underway here at the Joey Stadium. Once Kirsty Day blows a whistle, she does now. And we're back underway for another 45 minutes of WSL action in this opening game of WSL Sunday. And already it's Villa coming away with the ball. Rachel Daly will put that up in the air, and that's something for Gavi Nunes to give chase to. Alex Greenwood will head that home and relieve the concern. So City now can play out from the back. News says, football is exciting across the board, because yesterday I looked at Arsenal's men's fixtures and decided not to watch because I just assumed it was going to be another Arsenal win. Imagine my surprise. Yeah, the Premier League it's a brilliant time to watch football, brilliant time to love football. So much is going on right now across both the men's and women's games. So much interesting tactical stuff. So many big surprises. I think in England in general, across both the men's and women's games, the coaching quality is so high compared to other leagues, and the managers are so close that they do create these really interesting games. I think Robert de Pauw last season did really good stuff with Bayer Leverkusen, and now with a lot of quality players at his disposal, he can pull off results like this. He can turn Aston Villa into a side who will go to the Joey Stadium and compete with Manchester City, who have already gone to Kingsmead this season and competed with Chelsea. So, yeah, I think it's a great thing for the league. I think it's only going to help bring more eyes to it because, it's hard to ignore the quality at the moment in the WSL. And how exciting it is to watch. City trying to come forwards here, stopped by Aston Villa, and now they'll look to play out. Parker holds onto that ball well. I'm back in there by Hemp, but that will bobble through to D'Angelo. And yeah, on the topic of that, Chelsea playing Manchester City at Stamford Bridge in a little under a month's time now. And I think we will hopefully see quite a packed out Stamford Bridge because there is so much excitement for that game now. Because of how close it is, because you just don't know what's going to happen. I think that's a real positive for the women's game. Isabella's saying, men's Chelsea versus Liverpool later, I've got the excited nerves. Yeah, same. Should be an interesting one. Hopefully Chelsea can win. We'll see. New says, looking at the vast domination of Hammarby and Alexia looking like that prime, you can't honestly believe City stands a chance in December. Revenge will be so sweet. I think they stand a chance. I think the issue for Barcelona is that, yeah, they are a good side. But at the moment, is Pere Romieu going... Yeah, they are probably they are the best team in the world. But is Pere Romieu the best manager in the world? No. Not yet. Maybe he will be in a year's time, in 2 years' time, but I think it will take time for him to adapt. And so it'll be interesting to see whether they do win the Champions League this season or whether a team like Chelsea with an elite manager in Sonia Bonpasteur will make the difference. We've already seen City compete with them in over one game. We saw Chelsea beat them last season over one leg. And ultimately, if Elena Demetrescu was slightly less corrupt, maybe we'd have seen Barcelona get knocked out. You never know. So, chance now for City. Cut out by Thomas. Going to fall again for Park, though. Thomas competes for it. Good defending from Danielle Thomas. Made a bit of a mess of that, but she did recover it nicely. Antonio asks, where is Vivian Miedemar? She is not starting. Understandably, obviously, Jill Ward back from injury will probably be the starting central midfielder for Man City alongside Park and Hasegawa. And I don't mind that because I think Miedemar offers you more off the bench. D'Angelo's made a mess of that, but under no pressure, she gets away with it. Sapphire says, Leverkusen doing pretty well still. Yeah, indeed. To be fair, the Bundesliga as well, the Frauen Bundesliga have been really competitive this season. We saw Bayern drop points last weekend, I believe, to Wolfsburg. I'm just going to try and find it now. Yeah, the table at the moment, you've got top Eintracht Frankfurt with 16 points, and you've got Bayern on 15, Wolfsburg on 14, Leverkusen on 14. That's an exciting four-way fight for the title. Now, you'd expect Bayern to come through, and they do have a game in hand, which if they win that, and Wolfsburg at the moment are drawing, then I think Bayern will go back to top. But there is still competitiveness in that league, and we saw last weekend Bayern lose to Wolfsburg. So yeah, it's interesting. Very interesting. City going forwards. Fowler. The Liga F is just the only league that's got no competition. The amount of Barca fans who claim it doesn't make a difference, but for me, it makes a huge difference. Here is Khadija Short. Ball in from Kasparai. And that's a header off target from Rord, claimed well by D'Angelo. As I was saying, I think in the Champions League, because Barca could field literally any of their players in a Liga F game and probably be alright, bar maybe Real Madrid and Atletico Madrid. And they'll be fine. They've not lost a Liga F game since, I think, 2023. Maybe even earlier than that, actually. I think it's 2022. Maybe 2023, actually. Yeah, I think it was. It was the end of the 22-23 season. They lost a game because they rested up. But there's just no competition out there. Southhouse says, not much competition in France either. But at least you've got Lyon and PSG who are close. And Paris FC who are quite competitive. But Barca walk Liga F with no competition. Every season. Kasparai tries to come forward and it's won back by Aston Villa. And I think the issue the Liga F are going to have, and Barcelona are going to have, is that nobody watches. Like, I don't know many neutrals who watch Barcelona outside of Champions League games. Unless you are a Barcelona fan or you watch a lot of Liga F football, I don't think you're going to watch much Barcelona if you're a neutral. Because what is the point? You know they're going to win. You know, maybe you watch the Barca Real Madrid game, maybe you watch Barca Atleti. But other than that, you know they're going to win. And I think the issue is without competitiveness and the dominance that Barca have over that league is that they don't have the viewing figures, and then they're not going to be able to pull in as much money as I think the WSL will over the next few years. Because the WSL TV rights are only going to become more expensive for people like Sky and BBC to buy. And I think we will see, that revenue, as we've seen in the Premier League, can make a huge difference. So it'll be interesting. D'Angelo sends it long. And that is a messy encounter that results in a Manchester City free kick. Ty Fernando says, will City win? Possibly. We'll see. I think if I was to call it right now, I don't think they will. But I'm being bold and a little hopeful. I think City are so strong that it's hard to see them not coming back in some way. But Villa have looked so good in this game, so it's a really difficult one to call. Potentially. Let me know what you think in chat. Will City win? Simple question. Let me know. Harry says, City scored their first in the 58th minute against Liverpool. Plenty of time to go. Very true. Very true. And that's exactly why I don't think Villa have this in the bag yet, of course. But, City could not score to the 80th minute. But if they score in the 80th minute, I think they're going to win it. Because, they are so good. Antonio asks, is she on the bench, though? Miedemar, I believe so. And I think that's where she'll have more of an impact for Man City, is from the bench, because she can come on and play that striker position. She can come on when the defences are tiring and offer a bit more from midfield. City corner hasn't resulted in anything, cleared away by Aston Villa, out for a City throw. What we're seeing, though, is evidence of what we saw last week for Liverpool, where rather than winning it back and it being a meaningful pass and them trying to break, it is just get it out. And I get why, because you're panicking, you want to win the game. But the issue is it allows City just to keep bombarding, keep barraging your backline with attacks. Not if they give the ball away like that, they won't. But the point stands. Here's Hasegawa. Uwahabi back to Yui Hasegawa. Now Leah Alexandri. Kasparai goes back to Yamashita. Just checking the City bench. Oh no, Miedemar is not on the bench. That is interesting. She wasn't on the bench for the Champions League game either, was she? So I'm guessing there's an injury concern there for Vivian Miedemar. But they do still have a bit of quality on the bench. Man City, Kelly, Fagino, Coombs, Blinkilder, all players that can come on and make a difference. I do still think, though, I can't remember who said it earlier, so apologies. But someone said earlier in chat that City lack depth. Completely agree. Lazel's now out for a period of time, and they have no fullbacks. There's no senior fullbacks on the bench. Obviously, they could put Alexandri at right back, and there's things like that they can do. They've got Thomas, who looked fine against SK and St Paulton, but they haven't got a lot of senior depth. There is no depth for Yui Hasegawa. If she gets injured, I think City are in real trouble, because I don't see how they win the title without Hasegawa, or a defensive midfielder for that matter. They just won't have one. I think that would leave them in a big issue. But yeah, no Vivian Miedemar again amongst the substitutes. I would assume injury. Mick Ejo says maybe Viva's going back to Arsenal. What, now that Idaval's gone? You never know. Alexandri. Now Hemp. That's a nice ball round the corner to Alexandri. Hemp flicks it towards Alexandri. Great run from Leah Alexandri. Throw now for City. Hemp, no immediate issue. No immediate option, sorry. Want to take it quickly. But no one available. Well, we're watching a replay and City have won a corner. That's my one criticism of BBC. They do show replays at the worst opportunities. City have taken a throw quickly here. Found Vivian Miedemar in the penalty area. Found Khadija Shaw in the penalty area. It's a shot that's blocked by Patton. I'd quite like to watch that rather than a replay of what I've just seen. Corner for Manchester City then. Ball in from Hemp. That's cleared away. they're just not really doing anything with these corners. When they go short, they waste it. When they put it in the box, it's just not finding anyone. That was over everyone there at the back post, and Villa just dealt with it. Got to be a bit more dangerous. CM thinks it's going to be 1-1. Also, City will get a goal, but they're not another. Fair enough. I could see it. I could very much see it. We should have as well kick-off for the 2 o'clock games in... Well, there's only one 2 o'clock kick-off today. That's Liverpool Crystal Palace in about half an hour's time. To be fair, this game will be all but over then. Ball in from Hemp. It's met and put wide by Shaw. There's a touch in there for defender as well. City corner, and they can put pressure on again. And well, fans might be getting deja vu, Man City fans, because this time last week, it was around this minute, when they managed to find their first goal, their equaliser. They obviously went on to win that game. Will history repeat itself today? It's a City corner. Ball swung into the box. D'Angelo doesn't deal with it convincingly, but Katie Robinson clears it away. Kasparai just about chests it down under pressure from Missy Bokansi, who will chase Yamashita now. But City can play out. Ua Harvey. Hasegawa. Here is Alexandri. CM says that would be the worst business ever from Arsenal. Lose Viv on a free, then buy her back months later. That's the most Arsenal thing to do. Greenwood. Roared. Goes wide into Mary Fowler. Fowler looking to take on Maritz. Ball in, and that's pushed out for another corner. And City can keep the pressure on. Harry says, being all Man City in the second half. Yeah, and it's the same thing I was talking about, where instead of clearing it and looking to find someone, Villa, they are just smashing it as far away as possible. And the issue is that's just going to go to Kasparai, sat on the halfway line, and then City can come forwards again. And we're just seeing these waves, these continuous waves of City attacks. And eventually, Villa will also come to them. It's a corner that's dealt with by Villa, but it's out for another corner. There will be a pause here, though, because Lauren Hemp down in some discomfort. I don't really know how. Everyone just sort of came together in one big cluster there. And she's ended up on the deck. Yeah. There's just a melee of bodies in the box. And Hemp was just knocked over. But yeah. Bit of a mess there in the penalty area. Another corner, and it goes begging. Another one that goes wide. They're just not making anything happen. It's another deep ball. Just lifting it towards that back post, and Greenwood gets the connection all wrong. There's a nudge in there, a really smart nudge from Turner just to knock her off balance. But I don't know why all of these corners are going to the far post, and is this dark arts or a concern for Sabrina D'Angelo? Either way, it is going to be a chance for Robert de Pauw to talk to his players, reiterate his message. It's a chance for Taylor to do the same, though. But yeah. It's always suspicious when a goalkeeper just sits down off the ball. And it does just give the manager a chance to talk to his players. And to be fair, the physio looks like he's doing nothing. He's just rubbing D'Angelo's leg. Now, I know nothing about physiotherapy, but I assume, you know, that isn't much of a help. Either way, we hit the hour mark, and Manchester City still chasing this game. So Villa doing better than Liverpool were last week. They've held on for longer. The question is, can City repeat what they did last week and find a brace, find 2 goals to put them back in front? D'Angelo has miraculously recovered, which is a relief. And we can get the game back underway. Harris's game management from Villa now, very true. It'll be about slowing everything down, killing as much time as possible. And seeing what they can get from the game. Yeah, Gareth Taylor is on the subs bench, shockingly. has made his way down to join his team. Anyway, Aston Villa will play out from the back. D'Angelo, that is not a great pass, and it is forced Patton to have to go and collect that ball. It's a ball down the line that's won back by Hasegawa. These passes have got to be more meaningful and directed from Villa. They're just clearing it, and it's going to keep putting them under more pressure. Hasegawa, Greenwood, Alexandri, back to Greenwood. Daly almost got there. City living life on the edge. Hasegawa, now Fowler up against Moritz. Brilliant from Noelle Moritz. She's had Fowler's number all day. Oh, and, well, as I say that, she's giving it back to her. Thank you. Ball in from Ua Harvey. Punched away by D'Angelo. Hooked towards goal, and it's there. Manchester City 1, Aston Villa 1. Lauren Hemp reacted to the punch away from D'Angelo. Flicked it over the goalkeeper's head. It's a smart finish from Hemp. It was messy goalkeeping from Sabrine D'Angelo. And City are level. Manchester City 1, Aston Villa 1. It's just one of those. It was avoidable. They brought that pressure on themselves. No idea what Moritz was doing. Gave that ball away to Fowler. Committed to it by D'Angelo. And didn't deal with it. That punch away not convincing enough. Hemp kept it alive with a cushion header down to herself. And a nice attempt. Just lifting it over D'Angelo. And no one gets back on the line. But now Villa will look to respond. Casey Robinson coming forwards. That ball was poked back to Yamashita by Hasegawa. Well, a lot of time now. As Harry says, that was coming. Sharor, welcome to the stream, saying Khadija Shaw will score. She always does. And Isabel saying, great goal for Hemp. Great goal indeed. And a crucial, vitally important goal for this WSL title race. Greenwood, Alexandri. Kasparai under pressure. Goes to Alexandri, now Yamashita. Looking to play out from the back. City, Greenwood. Doesn't appear happy with her forward options. Hasegawa. Now Alexandri. Sends it forwards. Here comes City. Kasparai can't quite get there. But they are looking dangerous now, Man City. And Villa have got to be mindful of that. Got to be wary. Cheryl says, I just woke up from my bed. That's the reason why Villa scored in the first place. Fair enough. You're their good luck charm, Cheryl. Substitution for Aston Villa. Then Gabby Nunes making her way off the field. And she will be replaced by Chastity Grant. So presumably... Oh, there's double change as well because Kirsty Hansen coming off and Ebony Salmon coming on. So presumably that will see Katie Robinson go to attacking midfield. No. Robinson's gone to left wing. Salmon up front. Grant right wing. Daly still playing as that attacking midfielder. Fair enough. Ball down the line will be cut out well by Parker. I do think having someone as combative and as physical as Daly in that attack midfield role is quite helpful. Because yes, it puts her further away from goal, which is an issue. But equally, she can still make those late runs into the box that arriving on the edge of the area. But yeah. Coming inside is Lauren Hemp. And she's made an absolute mess of that. And now Villa will look to punish. Coming forwards. Now forced backwards though, Moritz. And that comes off Fowler. Or Harvey, sorry, and that's out now for a Villa throw. Harry said Nunes and Hansen both played well. Yeah, both involved in that goal, of course. This was that pass that went horribly wrong for Lauren Hemp. Just kicked her own foot there. And ended up, well, scuffing the ball away. Not a moment of huge pleasure for Lauren Hemp. Here's Kasparai. Not one she'll want to see back either. Greenwood. Almost caught in possession there by Chastity Grant, who pressed aggressively. Greenwood. Grant momentarily stuck up front. Just trying to press the City back line. Park. Bocan's putting the pressure on. Salmon will almost get there. Harvey poking it though to Hemp. And the rub of the greens just going City's way now. Jill Roord. Leila Harvey. Here's Hasegawa. It's been a quiet day for all of City's best players this season, really. I don't think Fowler's had much of an impact. I don't think Parks played particularly well. I don't think we've seen Khadija Shaw. So it's been a bit of a weird one in that regard. And there's usual suspects. There's players that City can usually rely upon, or at least this season, haven't really shown up. But Lauren Hemp, someone who's been a solid performer, reliable player for City for years now, has stepped up and has brought them level. 25 minutes, or less than 25 minutes, to play now. Manchester City still chasing a winner. Aston Villa hoping to hold on to a point. Greenwood. Here is Kirsten Kasparai. Yamashita. And that's a nice ball executed out wide left to Leila Uahabi. Ball down the line, looking for Khadija Shaw. That's an ambitious one though. And Villa will look to play out as a poor pass from Parker though. And here come Manchester City. Lauren Hemp. Ball down the line. No idea who she tried to find there. Patton wins it back and clears it out of play. Again, that doesn't have to go out of play. She's got Parker as an option there just to pass to. I don't get why they're not using those options. And Villa fighting for it, and it's won back well. And then pulled back for a foul on Lauren Hemp. Maritz fought well for it. But it's a silly free kick. Fought too well. Uwahabi tries to find Hemp. Cleared away. And for Villa, it's just about ticking down the clock. Letting those minutes flow by. Here comes City. Uwahabi, ball inside. Picked off by Rachel Daly. Tries to flick it on. Can't. Now Uwahabi. Greenwood. The Hills Trail brothers went to the stream saying City have been playing tired this season, yet still strong. It's the fatigue of all the off-season work in the gym to improve. Potentially, I think it's also the fact they're back in the Champions League this season. They're playing a lot more games, a lot more competitive fixtures than they were. Because obviously, the Champions League just replaces the Women's League Cup in theory in the schedule. But they are more intensive games. They are more both mentally and physically fatiguing games. And there are also more of them. You do play more Champions League group stage games than you play Women's League Cup group stage games. So I think that all has an impact. Yeah, I just think, City have looked tired in a lot of games this season. Here they are coming forwards though. Kasparai, Park keeps it alive just about. Wasn't a great touch though. Fowler. For me, I think City need changes. They are playing well, to be fair, but Roord and are looking like to score anyway. But I think bringing on Vivian Miedemar possibly for Park, I think would help. Here is Jess Park. I don't think Park's been at the races today. Being manhandled there by Missy Beaucairns. Good defending. Kasparai. City just look the more likely team to score. Here's Greenwood. Finds Shaw. To Uwahabi. Now Hemp. Can she put a ball in? Takes on the fullback, beats her. Still coming inside. Lauren Hemp cuts it back. Here's Jill Roord. Roord chance to score, and she does. Finishes emphatically. Manchester City 2, Aston Villa 1. And you felt the goal was coming. And they do now find the breakthrough. And City lead in this one at last. It was a slow first half. In the second half, though, they've looked the better side. Villa have sat too deep. And that's been punished by Manchester City. Goal and assist for Lauren Hemp. First goal for Jill Roord of the season. And an important one at that. Great run here from Hemp to dart inside. Takes it past the recovering challenge of Jordan Nobbs. Cuts it back for Jill Roord, and it's a really good finish. Firing home, and well, City proving their title credentials again. Going behind. Being the side in deficit at half-time. But then coming back to what looks like a win now. Good finish from Jill Roord. D'Angelo with no hope. Hillstrauss brothers saying they look strong this year. That was coming. John says Lauren Hemp has been head and shoulders above everyone else. Yeah, today she has been. Really, really good. She had a good season, but today, yeah, particularly good performance from Lauren Hemp. That was a great drive. And now City looking to force the issue and push on and find another goal. Here's Jess Park. Alexandri. Isabella says that footwork by Hemp was brilliant. Harry says Lauren Hemp, take a bow. Yeah, absolutely magical from Hemp, and that gives City a deserved lead. They've been the better side in the second half, and it's just another side who come up against City, and just come unstuck. Just late in the game. Jeff says the title race is out of Man City and Chelsea. I probably agree. I just don't think Arsenal will be able to make up the ground. I don't think United are title contenders. I don't think Brighton are yet, but they do look good, to be fair. You never know. But yeah, I would agree. Definitely. So this puts City on 13 points, right? Obviously Chelsea can move to 12 points with a win later today, this evening. But yeah, we would already see both of them move to within 3 and 2 points respectively of Manchester United and Brighton. Obviously Liverpool could move closer to that top 3 or top 4 with a win again as well. They play Crystal Palace, that game kicking off in 15 minutes time. But yeah, we do appear to have it's a very interesting season at WSL on our hands. Noah Harvey. Greenwood. I mean, is there any chance of Villa to come back in this one? That's the question now. Do they have any belief left? Do they try and push for a goal? I just think they've gone way too defensive in this half. I'm almost expecting the fact they would concede, they would lose. They just wanted to, I don't know, hold on desperately. I think the Liverpool did the same though. And Liverpool's was forced somewhat by the injury to Olivia Smith. But these teams just fold. And just put it in the box and it's dealt with. And Villa will look to play out now. But, you know, now we're seeing them try and play some football. They've been clearing everything away. They've been letting City come onto them. No idea what Parker's trying to do here. Play herself into travel one back, though, by Jordan Nobbs. And Villa can look to play out. Jordan Nobbs, the highest appearance maker in WSL history, I believe. Such an experienced player. And while she's having a tough experience today, up against City. Ball into the box from Hemp. Khadija Shaw, just wide of the mark. We saw us score a similar goal against Liverpool last weekend. It's an archetypal goal for City to score. Hemp down the left-hand side and a ball into the box for Khadija Shaw to head home. But this one just wide of the mark. Daly flicks on. Greenwood heads it down. Here's Hasegawa. And a ball through, and that's going to find its way to Khadija Shaw. Shaw bearing in on goal. Should score. I think it's flagged offside anyway. Well, she's missed it. But I think it would have been offside regardless, and it is indeed. Khadija Shaw, offside. But I mean, we've just seen there how dangerous Shaw can be. She's just taken the ball, driven. Despite the fact there's 4 players around her. Just kept driving, or 3 players around her. And then fired out. D'Angelo, who prevented the shot, fell back to Shaw. Knocked wide. Either way, it was offside. 15 minutes left, though. Here is D'Angelo. Parker. Now Patton. Parker goes down the line. Nice turn in there from Ebony Salmon, but she's not going to be able to hold on to that one. And here comes City. Good challenge in there from Grant. Or from Noel. Moritz finds Grant. One back though by Uehabi. Here's Hasegawa. City can look to play forwards. Hasegawa exchanging a pass with Rord. Back now to Alexandri. Greenwood. Here's a forward option on. There is a wide option. She uses it. Lauren Hemp on the ball. Back to Uehabi. City have gone back to playing how they were in the first half. So that might be, if there's any Villa fans watching, that might be a source of hope. Because they're just a bit slower on the ball. They are now moving it with the speed and panache that they've been playing with in the second half. That's an ambitious ball into the box. Alexandri couldn't quite get hold of it. Fowler, Rord, sorry. Caitlin Ford has not transferred Kasparai. Now Greenwood. Stops completely dead on the ball there, Alex Greenwood. And yet Villa just aren't able to put enough pressure on her. Rod there's forced into poking that ball off the pitch. That's an Aston Villa throw. But yeah, we're going to see a replay of that goal now. Majestic movement from Lauren Hemp. A great cutback. And it's a really good finish. Really composed finish by Jill Roord. And a frustration there across the faces of Nunez and Hansen, who'd just been substituted, of course. Here comes City. Harvey forced back to Greenwood. Someone needs to get Greenwood a cap or something. I mean, I know she's a centre-half, might be a bit difficult, but she has to keep doing this to block her eyes. Block the sun out of her eyes. Here comes City though. Kasparai coming forwards. She's overhit that, and that'll be seen out well by Patton. Promising chance for City. Kasparai made a bit of a mess of that. And Villa will get away with another one there. They've just not done enough, really, to prevent City in this second half. Little bit too open. Changes afoot now for Aston Villa. Further changes, maybe to try and find an equaliser. Here's a double change that sees Robinson off. Just waiting to see the confirmation for the changes. A decent performance from Katie Robinson. Wasn't able to get in the game for much of the second half. She's taken off for Kenza Darley, and we see Miri Taylor on for Jordan Nobbs. So a change out on the flank and a change in midfield then, just for some fresh legs. Moritz finds Grant, who holds onto that ball well. Moritz goes down the line. That's taken for Kenza Darley for Salmon to chase. Here's Yamashita. Alexandri to Greenwood. I mean, we've spoken about this game like City have won it. Obviously, it looks like they will win this, but it's not over. There is still a chance that Villa could score in this game, if they believe, if they wanted to. Now, at the moment, they're just letting City play it around them a bit too easily. But I think that those changes there, it shows De Pauw still believes they could come forwards. They could try and find something against the run of play. Shaw wins it back. Darley's got to be stronger in the tackle there. Let's pass it past her. Here's Alexandra, goes back to Yamashita under the pressure from Daly. Johnny's gutted that Jordan Nobbs has been substituted. Fair enough. I've never seen such a big fan of Nobbs. Good challenge in there from Miri Taylor to prevent City coming forwards. Now a throw in on the far side. Ten minutes still to play, plus a period of additional time, of course. Greenwood. Alexandri. Park robbed of possession in there by Daly. Darley holds on to it well. Here's Salmon. Carrying that ball forwards. Grant fighting away to hold on to possession. But it's lost and City have the ball back now. Hemp. Marlon says, if Chelsea win every game, they win the WSL because City drop points to Arsenal. Yes, Marlon. If any team wins every game, to be fair, of a season, they have to win the league because no one else could have won every game. But that is true. Equally, if Chelsea won every game but lost both games to City, then City would win the league. So still a long way to go. Grant. I mean, we are in game week 5. We are far from over in this season. But it has been a very interesting start, very exciting start to the season. Parker. Taylor. Back to Parker. Patton. Here's Danielle Taylor. Goes down the line. Darley. Turner. Darley again. Finds Daly. The Daly-Darley link-up is enjoyable to commentate over. Patton. Now Parker. Ball goes down the line. Moritz holds on to it. Nice deceptive turn from Taylor, but that'll be pulled back anyway for a foul in the aftermath. Moritz just caught there by Lauren Hemp. Hemp pleads innocence. But no, she has gone in too hard, too aggressively there. That will be a Villa free kick. It's also changed now for Manchester City. Ioba Firgino coming on, and that will be the end of Jess Park's afternoon. So that's a bit of an interesting one. I'm guessing we're going to see Firgino or Fowler potentially in midfield. And we'll see Jess Park make way. Not a vintage performance from Jess Park today. I don't think she impacted the game massively. It's not that she did anything necessarily wrong. She didn't really do anything. A quiet game for a player who's shone this season. But that will give Firgino an opportunity in the last 10 minutes here to show what she can do. Jess Park will enjoy watching the last 8 minutes here before obviously heading off to international duty with England. Hopefully, we'll be involved in both the games. Here comes Aston Villa. Then the right-hand side one back though by Harvey, and Yamashita will come and smash that out of play. So, Villa in possession. Here's Patton. Parker. Coming forwards. Moritz. Down the line, and that's something for Grant to chase. She'll put Harvey under a bit of pressure. That ball goes back now to Yamashita. Yamashita to Alexandri. Daly putting her under pressure. And it's a misplaced pass, and here come Villa. Missy Kearns to Kenza Darley. Darley running towards goal. Moves it wide, and that's intercepted before it could find Noel Moritz. Important challenge from Lauren Hemp. One high by Moritz, and the ball in the box, though, will fall straight to Yamashita. There's a chance there. Sapphire says, do you think Roebuck can come back in the national team at some point? Potentially. The issue for Ellie Roebuck now is that she's gone from warming the bench at Man City to warming the bench at Barcelona. I don't get it. You know, if she wanted to play for England again, if she wants to be in the England squad, she's got to be playing football. And that's not going to happen at Barca. And I find it really weird. I know she didn't get on for Gareth Taylor, so there's different reasons. And I get, playing for Barcelona is a big thing. You win titles and stuff. But I don't understand why you would complain about playing time at Man City and then decide to go to Barcelona. That is the most backwards thinking. She's not going to get a game at Barca. Or at least any consistent game time. But, because, Cassie Nicole's a better goalkeeper. So she'll start the big games. Roebuck might get some Liga F fixtures later in this season, but she's not going to play with any consistency. In a summer where United may have been sniffing around a goalkeeper, we don't know. They end up on just sticking with Fallon Torres-Joyce, their backup keeper, but they may have looked at her. In a summer where Arsenal changed their goalkeeper, where Villa were looking at alternatives because obviously Van Domstal had left. They settled on D'Angelo in the end, but would they have perhaps gone Roebuck if that was an option? So it's a tough one, but I get the allure of Barcelona, the allure of winning titles and of competing for the Champions League, but for me, I don't think she's going to be back in the England squad because of it. Already seen Esme Morgan had to leave City to go and get consistent game time to stay in the England squad. I think, Roebuck isn't anywhere near it right now. We've just seen Anna Morehouse called up for it. And so, I think that, that third choice goalkeeper isn't a huge thing. If Roebuck isn't playing, I think Weigmann would rather take another goalkeeper. I mean, Kiara Keating's not even named in the most recent England squad because she's not playing enough. Does Roebuck get in over her anyway? No. So, yeah, I just don't see it. Maybe if she'd gone somewhere in the WSL to try and get some consistent minutes and show her quality again, then maybe. But she's got to decide to go sit on the bench at Barcelona. A long career ahead of her, Ellie Roebuck, still a lot of time, so she may recover. Or she may come back later in her career. She may get that chance to play for England again, but I just don't see it happening anytime soon. Unless Catalina Cole decides to quit football. Here comes Virginia. Breaking away for Manchester City. And that's a great tackle in there from Taylor. Missy Bocans puts into the box. Headed away by Greenwood. Hemp does well to take that away from Patton. And now can break. Hemp. Still going, Lauren Hemp. Spins Parker. Lovely stuff from Hemp. Forced backwards now, though, to Kasparai. And City will settle on the ball again. Alexandri. Yui Hasegawa. Now Kasparai. Here is Greenwood carrying that ball forwards. Hemp's touched it out of play. She thinks there's a push in the back. That is not interested though. The referee not interested. Harry says Hemp is the player of the match by a mile. What a game. Indeed. I don't think you can give it to anyone else really. The catalyst behind City's comeback. Every touch seems to have been the right one. Brilliant game for Lauren Hemp. And we have now got kick-off for Liverpool Crystal Palace, by the way, at 2 o'clock. I mean, unless there's a goal in the first 5 minutes, we're not going to bring any coverage of it. But that is happening. And change it right back as well. I believe that was Moritz off for Mailing. So a chance now for Mailing to show quality. She's going to struggle to get in over the side over Noelle Moritz. Had a good season, Moritz. Had a very good game until she let Lauren Hemp dart past her. She was at fault for both the goals, Moritz, today, but has had a good season. Because she should have done more about Fowler before then she laid it off. Did Fowler cross it or let? Before she laid it off to Harvey to cross it. She should have held on to the ball, Moritz. And then, obviously, the second goal got skinned by Lauren Hemp. Great, I mean, difficult to stop, to be fair. Could have fouled her. But difficult to stop. And then we saw... what was I going to say? Oh, no, obviously the goal. So, at fault for both. In a sense, but it's a game where I think Villa will take pride from. I think they've played well, but ultimately, City are just so good, aren't they? It's going to be a good title race this year. City, I think, are as close as they were last season, and the question is, with Champions League football for City, will that have the impact, or with a new manager for Chelsea, will that have the impact? Messi defending, and here comes City again. Fantastic tackle, fantastic last player tackle there from Danielle Turner. Couple minutes to go of normal time, plus some additional time, of course. Good days. With my fantasy WSL team, I've got Jill Rord, so very pleased with that. Unfortunately, Kasparai and Shaw doing nothing, but I didn't captain Shaw, so I'm quite happy. I think there'll be a lot of people out there who have captained Khadija Shaw, and while she might score in the last few minutes, she hasn't scored yet. So, not a bad day in fantasy WSL terms. Could do with something from her being up. In the game kicking off now. Hasegawa commits a foul on Rachel Daly, and that should be a Villa free kick. But interesting to see for Liverpool, by the way, no Romaine Haug for them today, but Olivia Smith is amongst the starting lineup, so that is good to see for them. Well, I did consider bringing into my fantasy WSL team. I just had some concerns after she was brought off last week that she wouldn't start. If she does return again today, I might look at bringing her in after the international break. Tough fixtures though with Villa and Chelsea the next two, but never know. 5 minutes of additional time in this game. Which I think is slightly overdoing it. Unless Villa score, in which case I think it's completely fair. But have we already had 5 minutes of stop? I guess D'Angelo sat on the floor for a bit, didn't she? So we could see. Sapphire says, who's getting promoted from the Championship? Charlton. Let me have a look, because I feel like I don't watch enough Women's Championship. I try and keep up with it a bit. Obviously, this channel focuses on the WSL, and with following that, it then makes it difficult to keep an eye on anything else. On top of like living a life and stuff. But football doesn't. Oh, there we go. Trying to find it. So the moment Birmingham top, Charlton up there. I think London City Lionesses are hard to see them not winning it, considering the quality in that side. If they win against Sheffield United, they've got a game in hand on the 2 teams above them. If they win that, they'll be top. So yeah, I find it difficult to see London City Lionesses not winning it. You know, they signed players like Kosovo Aslani in the Women's Championship is insane. So is Sophia Jacobson. It's a ridiculous team. Israel a good one as well. I think wasn't that the record Women's Championship transfer fee. I find it difficult to look past them, but Charlton do look good. They were very good last season, beaten of course to that title by Crystal Palace. So I think London City Lionesses will be up there. I mean Birmingham look good to start the season. I think Newcastle will come good later this season, and it's still very tight. The top, anyone from 7th to 1st, 3 points in it. 7th being Bristol City. And they've got a game in hand, so you know they could easily be top. So it's so difficult to call. It's a shame we only get one promotion spot, really, isn't it? Because to be honest, I know Crystal Palace got battered by Chelsea, and last season we got Bristol City got battered by Chelsea, and I don't think we're ready for it yet. But I think there are teams there. It is very close now. Or in a few years' time, I think we should be expanding the WSL, because I think you throw London City Lionesses in there, you throw Charlton, Newcastle, maybe Bristol City, not based on last season, but maybe. You throw them into an expanded WSL, and while the only issue is I think teams like Chelsea, City, Arsenal do tank a lot of those teams, but I think that bottom half would all be really competitive. I don't think there's a huge gap now between the bottom 3, 4, 5 WSL teams and the top couple in the Women's Championship. So I think we will see an expanded league soon. Not yet. I still think there is some way to go still, but in a couple of years I think we will see that. Forgot about Birmingham, says Sapphire. Yeah, I think they'll be right up there. I think London City Lionesses is my favourites though. Justin Williams says, where can you watch the Championship? It is available on the Women's Championship YouTube channel. They do put on, I don't know how many they put on a weekend, it's usually like 1 or 2 games a weekend. Obviously YouTube becoming the broadcaster, or the main broadcaster, alongside obviously the Sky Sports and BBC for the WSL and Women's Championship. They've got on this weekend. Durham Sunderland's just finished, which was their game for this weekend. Last weekend they had Newcastle Sunderland and Portsmouth Southampton. So yeah, 1 to 2 games a weekend it seems. Nothing else for this weekend though, unfortunately. Chance for Villa, guys begging. City think that's a goal kick, and it is indeed. Got momentarily distracted by just talking about the Women's Championship. A minute left here though, and City should see this out. It was a long free kick though, and Villa almost made something of it. That just bounced through. Yeah, Mailing just couldn't get a good shot away. That was a great chance. A great opportunity. Gutting. Absolutely gutting. But alas, play continues. And City should see this out now. John says, agree, need to run the WSL and Championship to 16 teams in each. The teams going up will learn and improve more quickly. I'm not sure the Women's Championship could expand, and that is probably another issue. Is the quality in the 3rd tier good enough to be in the 2nd tier? Possibly not yet. And you've got to think of the impact on all of the pyramid. Because if you take another 4 teams from the Championship and put them in the WSL, then you've got to find. Then suddenly the Championship has 6 teams. So if you want that to be 16, you've got to take 10 from Division 3 for the 3rd tier. I think there's 2, isn't there? You've got it's the Women's National League, isn't it? Then you've got National League South North South. So you have 10 from there, and then there is barely. And then, I don't think there's anyone in the National League, so everyone just moves up. But the issue is you're going to have teams that just aren't able to compete at that level, aren't able to fund that level and stuff like that. So you've got to consider the whole pyramid when making any changes on teams, on league sizes. I think we might see it in increments of 2, because that's slightly easier. John says, with 2 up and 2 down, or a playoff between 2nd in the Championship and 2nd bottom in the WSL. I don't like a relegation promotion playoff. I would have 2 teams down, and I'd have 1 automatically going up from the Women's Championship, and then a playoff between the next 4. I think that works. But there we go. Oh no. There we go. Full time here at the Joey Stadium. Manchester City 2, Aston Villa 1. They survive an early scare to remain top of the WSL for another game week. It's a good win for City, a crucial win for Manchester City as they look to continue their pursuit of the WSL title, and they go into the international break on top, which is absolutely vital. Sapphire says, I think WSL could have 14 teams right now and 16 later. Yeah, I was surprised. We thought there was going to be an expansion at the start of the season. They put out like an announcement. Oh, I haven't done the timer. They put out an announcement saying, we're announcing something soon. And I was thinking, this is going to be this is going to be a league expansion, isn't it? Because it was involved with, it was the Women's Championship and WSL announcement. I thought, this is going to be a league. This is going to be a league expansion. It turns out they just played football on a roof somewhere. So that was gutting. But I think we will see a league expansion soon. But yeah. Sapphire says, I think, I already read that out. But yeah, Isabella saying, good solo stream today. Thank you, Isabella. We'll be back later this evening with Chelsea vs Tottenham. Harry will be alongside me for that one. I say later, that is 4 hours away. So not that later, but do join us for that. But yeah, I'm going to go watch the rest of the WSL games and Chelsea-Liverpool in the Premier League. But yeah, we'll be back later. Oh my God, Wolves just scored against Man City. That's fun. Anyway, we will be back later this evening with Chelsea vs Man City. I'm all over the place on the stream. Chelsea vs Tottenham later this evening. So do join us for that. We'll have obviously our usual weekly roundup coming out on tomorrow evening. And so look out for that, where we're talking about all the WSL games. And then another video Wednesday where I think we're going to be summarising the start of the season. And obviously with the international break coming, we'll probably have some England content coming out over the next 2 weeks. Some international break, all that sort of stuff. So look out for all of that. But that's everything from us today. I'm going to have to say goodbye as I work out how to turn off the stream. Thank you guys very, very much for watching. And we will see you next time.